Hey guys, it seems like it's been forever since we've last had a video, so welcome to your new chapter 4, dealing with predominantly fractions. So we're going to start off with something really important, which is estimating products of fractions. And what makes that so important is that it's going to help us make sure that we have an answer that sounds reasonable. So our notes are going to be entitled Estimating Products of Fractions. And we're going to talk about a couple different strategies. And today's date is 10/2/19. Okay? So, I'll be honest with you, some of these strategies I don't like, but that's just me because I never grew up with them. Some of them may make more sense to you, but I gotta let you know how to do them because they show up in the book. So first, we need to understand a vocab word, and that is compatible numbers. So if two things are compatible, that means they get along, they fit well together. When it comes to compatible numbers, the definition sounds like this. You're going to substitute a value for a number of numbers, and it could be different values depending on how many of them you want to kind of do estimation with, a number or numbers, to make the math easier to do. So basically when we did some estimating in chapter 3, we were looking for compatible numbers. Every time I do division, I'm looking for compatible numbers that are close to the goal number I have, and that's how I go through the process. So an example would be if I had 120 divided by 32, and I wanted to know what an estimate of that product. Well, I kind of am dictated by the second number. I'd round him to 30, and then I'd ask, what's a number close to 127 that 30 will go into? And the answer we come up with is 120. Now, if you think about that, hold on one second. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry about that. 120 doesn't follow any of the traditional rounding rules, right? So that's what makes compatible numbers different. So it doesn't necessarily find rounding rules. It goes by what fits best with another number. Okay? So what I'm going to do is teach you 2 ways to estimate products using compatible numbers. So 2 ways to estimate products using compatible numbers. Now, I am probably going to be on 2 pages here. Well, for sure I am going to be. Okay. 2 ways to estimate products using compatible numbers. So the first method is the one that I'm least, that I would gravitate to the least amount, and that's a bar diagram. So we're basically going to draw a visual presentation of a number, or of a problem, using compatible numbers, and the bar graph will help us get to our answer. So let me give you our problem. We're going to have 1/4 times 13. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the right, and we're going to add some steps. So the first step is we're going to find a number close to 13 that 4 goes into evenly. Okay, so basically the only number that I'm going to find a compatible number for is the whole number. I'm going to leave the fraction to fraction. Okay, so I think you would all agree that a number that 4 can divide into evenly that's close to 13 is going to be the number 12. Okay? So then next we're going to draw a bar. Draw a bar to represent 12. Now I'm going to do a lot of things to this bar. So this whole bar from end to end is equal to 12. Okay. Now I'm going to take and draw my attention to the denominator. Okay. And the denominator, remember how we're abbreviating denominator as denom. The denom tells you the number of equal sections in the bar. So in other words, I'm going to break my bar into 4 equal pieces. Okay. Now this is where I have to do a little bit of math, and I ask myself, okay, what's going to be my number that represents the bar divided by 4? In other words, I'm trying to figure out what each of those smaller sections actually represents, and I get the number 3. So I'm going to put 3 in the inside each of those bars. Okay. So then the last thing is going to be the numerator represents how many sections to color. Or shade, right? So there's a 1 in the numerator, which means I would just shade in one of those bars. So our conclusion would be that 1/4 times 13 is going to be about 1 section of 3, or 3. Okay? Seems like an awful lot of work to do, right? So let me give you a faster method. This faster method is just using compatible numbers and doing the math, okay? So this is just going to be the compatible numbers. Now notice I did use compatible numbers on our first one, but we're going to use them again, okay? Oh, sorry, I wrote method 1. It should be method 2. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start off with the same problem so you can see how it works with this strategy. And it starts off the very same way, where we're going to find a number close to 13 that I know 4 can go in evenly. And we had already figured it out. That's the number 12. Okay? And then once we do that, we're just going to create 2 fractions by giving the 12 a denominator of 1. Now he's a fraction. And we're going to multiply. Now when we multiply with fractions, it's pretty simple. We're just going to multiply straight across. So I'm going to get 1 times 12 over 4 times 1. That's going to give me 12 over 4, which is going to give me about 3. And that's it. That's that process. So you know me. I like to do things as simply as I can. This is the process I would choose, but that's just me. Okay? All right, I am going to go to the next screen. Now, when I did my notes, I actually was able to put the next 2 examples on the bottom of this page, but that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and title this next page the same thing, because I'll notice a lot of you guys aren't titling both pages the same. So estimating products of fractions. And today's date again, oops, 10/2/19. All right, so using the information we had from before, we're going to practice one of each kind of problem, one of each method. So we have 2/5, and we want to multiply it by 16. So with the bar method, remember, I need to find a number that's compatible to 16 that the denominator 5 can go into evenly. And I think most of you would say, yeah, that's just 15. Okay, and I agree with that. So now I draw my bar. Now remember, from end to end, it equals 15. Okay, but now I look at the denominator, and I see the 5. So the 5 says, let's go ahead and split my bar into 5 equal pieces. So, the drawing may not be completely accurate, but a good enough idea. So we have 5 equal pieces. Now my job is to figure out how much would be in each of those pieces. So what's going to help me figure that out is what's the total divided by the number of sections that are equal size. So I get 15 divided by 5 is 3. So what I'm going to do is take that number and I'm going to put it in each of the bars. Now remember what happens at this point. We check out the numerator. It says it wants to know not 1/5 but 2/5. So I'm going to cover up 2 of the 5 sections. So my conclusion would be 2/5 times 16 is approximately equal to 3 plus 3, or 6. Okay, so approximately equal to 6. All right, let's do one with the other strategy. And we have 5, 6 times 13. So again, key thing we need to do is to figure out what is a number compatible to 13 that 6 can divide evenly into. And I think most of you would say, hey, that's going to be 12. So now all we do is we create a fraction out of that 12 by giving it a denominator, and we multiply straight across. So that's going to give me, change colors here, 5 times 12 over 6 times 1. And that's what we're going to, you guys did this last year, so we're just going to keep practicing that math. So again, this is an approximation. This is an approximation. So I get 60 over 6, and I get 10. So I can conclude that, oops, sorry, try that again. 5/6 times 13 is about equal to 10. Okay? All right. Now, I'm going to talk to you about a different strategy for estimating when you have fractions. So let's say you have a multiplication problem and it's a fraction times a fraction. So let's talk about that. And when we have, oh, hello, maybe if I could spell properly today, estimate by rounding fractions. And we have 3 choices, to 0, 1/2, or 1. Okay? So just some things to think about. First off, if you have fractions that are close to 1/2, you know that if you look at the value of the denominator, if we divide it by 2, so cut it in half, it should equal the numerator. So that's how I kind of tell if a number is about half. But even, I think, more practical would be to think about using a number line. So use a number line to help estimate. So my number line is going to go from 0 to 1 with half in the middle, and we're going to plot the points we have to see if they're closer to 0, 1/2, or 1 whole. And then those would be the numbers we would use to multiply. So let's do a couple of examples of those. Directions again are going to say estimate. And let's say we have 1/3 times 7/9. So I'm going to draw my number line. 0, 1, and halfway is going to be a half. Okay, so I'm going to graph where 1/3 is. So if I kind of envision 3 spots, that would be about 1/3, that would be about 2/3. Well, thereabouts. So I'm going to erase that second one because I don't want him, so I'm going to put in 1/3 here. Then I'm going to plot in 7/9, and that would be closer here. So that's your 7/9. So based on what I see in this graph, 1/3 is closer to 1/2. 7/9 is closer to 1. So this is your estimation. And we would get an answer of about 1/2. See how simple that is? And then let's do one more. We have 1/9 times 4/5. So again, I'm going to draw a number line. So 0, 1/2, 1 whole. I'm going to graph 1/9. So I'd have to have 9 tick marks all the way across. So that would be about 1/9. And then I'm going to graph 4/5. That would be somewhere right about here. Definitely over a half, because half of 5 would be 2.5, right? And so then what that's going to let me do is 1/9 is basically 0, right? It's closest to 0. And then the 4/5 is closer to 1. So when I multiply those, again, this is your approximation, I'm going to get an answer that's approximately 0. We talked about this before when we were doing, I think, estimation with the decimals. Anytime I get an answer of 0, what this is basically saying is you're going to have a very small number. You're not going to get nothing. You're going to just get a very small number. Okay? So hold on to your hats, because coming up is going to be reviewing multiplying 2 values. Fractions, mixed numbers, whole numbers, all together. All right? We'll see you tomorrow. Good luck, guys.